Hallo und willkommen. Ich bin Meister Lehnsherr and you're watching Get Germanized, Almost Forgotten German Words Part 5. In this series we look at all kinds of German words that have been lost to history, or at least almost. We're trying to, well, revive them and put them back where they rightfully belong, in our everyday language. So help me with this and let us get started right away. Lasst uns anfangen.
All on board. What should I do?
Ich weiß.
First up, die Kinkerlitzchen, the odds and ends. Again, a synonym for nonsense, as we have had many in this series before. Kinkerlitzchen, it just rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? Die Kinkerlitzchen. Don't do any Kinkerlitzchen when you go outside today. Which Kinkerlitzchen have you gotten up to when you were younger? Let me know in the comments below. Next up is die Maloche. Maloche. It already sounds like something you don't want to do. This word denotes hard physical work. It comes from Hebrew actually, and the word has been in the Duden Dictionary since 1987. Die Maloche. Ich war wieder auf der Maloche in den Kohleminen. I've been on work in the coal mines. Next up is Meshugge or Meshugge. This word also comes from Hebrew. A person who is Meshugge is not right in his mind and a bit crazy. But again, Meshugge sounds nicer somehow. Instead of saying he's batshit insane, you could just say, well, he's a bit Meshugge. But he's alright, just a bit Meshugge. Unfortunately, Meshugge isn't used that often anymore. Help us revive it and let us know how you like to be a little Meshugge every now and then in the comments below. Next up is der Mumpitz. 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 The tripe or balderdash. There are so many expressions for nonsense that one could actually make, well, a separate listing out of all of them. And maybe we will. Mumpitz. Next up is Potzblitz. Potzblitz. Shiver me timbers. A really nice exclamation of admiration or surprise. Potzblitz. And much classier than Alter or Digger. Potzblitz. So instead of saying dude all the time when you're surprised for something, or man, say Potzblitz. Next up is das Schlafician, another favorite of mine. If the bouncer in the club grabs you by the Schlafician, aka the scruff of the neck, the party is over for you. By the way, the cute expression comes from poultry, because poultry or wing is also called Fitgin in Low German. So the goose can't run away, of course, if you grab it by the Schlafitgen or Schlafician. Next up is der Schlavina. Oh, another favorite of mine, der Schlavina, the dodger or rascal. Where exactly the name comes from is not really certain. The most widespread assumption is that Schlavina comes from the word Schlawacke. Well, Schlawacke is an early name for Slovaks. Traders coming from there were considered to be particularly shrewd businessmen, and so Schlavina was born. Do you think this word could be considered racist or not? Let me know in the comments below. Is it extinct for good, for a reason, or would you revive it? Let me know. Next up, a word that should definitely not be extinct is der Schluckspecht. Der Schluckspecht, the swallowing woodpecker. Fantastic. The boozer, basically. The expression der Schluckspecht or swallowing woodpecker probably really comes from the birds that, well, like to peck their beaks into the trees. They do this to drink the bark sap that they have to swallow in return. Makes sense, doesn't it? Were you also one of the people that always thought, well, woodpeckers, they get like worms or something like that out of their only, that's why they do this, or they build little nests? Well, maybe all of these things are true. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Next up is der Schmuck. Der Schmuck. Make sure that your mouth is really wet when you say this, really moist. Schmuck. The Schmuck or Schmo is Yiddish and means dolt or idiot. Presumably, that's where the sonorous title comes from, der Schmuck. A Schmuck is an arrogant person who is neither particularly clever nor witty. Der Schmuck. Next up, a rather naughty word, das Stell dich ein, the Rendezvous, basically. A man and a woman can of course go on a date, but they can also have a Stell dich ein. This is the Germanized version of Rendezvous. and used to be used for, well, dates of a romantic nature. In the meantime, however, this beautiful metamorphosis of 3 words is in danger of dying out, so help us revive stell dich ein. So instead of having a hookup, have a stell dich ein instead. Next up, der Thousandssa, the jack of all trades, der Thousandssa. Some people can just do about anything, which other people find quite unfair sometimes. Admiringly, these multi-talents used to be called Thousandssa. By the way, the Austrian expression for it is Wunderwutzi. The Swiss is Siebesich. Which one do you like better? A Thousandssa, Wunderwutzi, or Siebesich? I actually like Wunderwutzi am besten, the most. Wunderwutzi. Fantastisch. Next up is der Unfug. Der Unfug. The mischief. And the 5th word for nonsense on this list. But also the last one. Cross my heart and hope to die. Maybe we'll see, I suppose. It could be Unfug after all, and we would have another word at some point, but we'll see. We'll see about that. Maybe you've expected this already. Here's a bonus word for you. An extra word for free, no charge. Das Zechgelage. Das Zechgelage. Das Zechgelage. The carousing. The expression das Komasaufen, the Koma binge drinking, is relatively new. Back in the day, people also met to drink more or less alcoholic beverages. Well, and lots of them. Mostly this happened in the context of a drinking bout. That should be reintroduced, don't you think? Das Zechgelage. Instead of Komasaufen. Das Zechgelage. Sounds a bit less savage, doesn't it? Did you know any of these words, and would you ever use them in a normal conversation these days? Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't yet, so that we can do more and more of these kinds of videos. And apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to get Germanized. Goodbye and auf Wiedersehen.